Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me today is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. Nasser, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, Rick, thank you so much. Been away for a week or so with a touch of bronchitis, which led to laryngitis, but back here and once again, ready to say it out loud, full of passion. It's just another great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world. You've got the American flag behind you. I've got a mural of the American flag behind us. Got our American flag tie on, and we are ready and raring to go, Rick.
All right, great to have you with me again. I missed you the last couple of weeks there, Nasser. I'm glad you're feeling better. Glad you're back with us. Well, Nasser, a couple of things are in the news, and if you don't mind, I'd just like to start today to talk about the tragedy that happened. I call it a tragedy. The tragedy that happened in France yesterday, the burning of the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, and here you have this beautiful structure. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever been to Notre Dame?
I have not. I've seen pictures, but other than that, not live, not in person, no.
Well, I have had the honor and the privilege of going there, and Catholics around the world watched in horror as the roof of the Cathedral of Notre Dame was engulfed in flames on Monday afternoon. The blaze began shortly after the church closed for visitors, and everyone was evacuated safely, although the entirety of the roof collapsed into the church. And these are things that we know about, 5 things that you may or may not know about the church that has been called the Queen of Cathedrals, that it was built over a 182-year process, and that it was a home to many relics, many Christian relics, including what is reputed to be the crown of thorns, although that was saved. It was one of the most visited sites in Europe, and certainly that in France. And while Monday's fire was certainly the most extensive damage ever done to Notre Dame, it's hardly the first time that the shrine has been harmed. It was bombed. Some of the glass was broken out during the Second World War when Paris was bombed. And also the Huguenots destroyed icons and statues during the 16th century. During the French Revolution, Notre Dame was sacked and was rededicated to the, quote, goddess Reason. The building itself was used at that time for wine storage. The church reassumed use of the building in 1801. But a terrible tragedy. Fortunately, no one was killed during the fire. There were a couple of firefighters that were injured, but I'm sure it's going to be rebuilt. In fact, a couple of billionaires have already stepped forward with over $300 million in donations to rebuild the cathedral at Notre Dame.
No, you're right. I mean, that cathedral, the Cathedral, the Notre Dame Cathedral, served really as a spiritual home to, Catholics and Christians alike from all over the world. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those, tragedies. It could, like you said, I mean, thank God that the people had been evacuated, because sometimes in situations like that, mm-hmm. When you're in an enclosed area, and something like that happens. And I was hearing about something. They said that the timber and the wood that was used, because it was all wood construction, was a different kind of wood that was being used at that time, right?
It was built 850 years ago. So that timber
yes.
that was used for the roof and to support the roof was very dry.
Very dry.
And that's one of the things that led to the rapid movement of the fire. And
And did you know?
Fortunately, there were some things that were not destroyed during the fire. One thing is this terrific organ and the piping. Also, the front of Notre Dame, they had the rose window that was not destroyed in the fire. The bell towers were not destroyed in the fire, and also many of the relics were saved. For instance, I mentioned the crown of thorns. Also, what was it? King Louis's robe, somewhere I have in here, which going back over 900 years, that was saved too. But a terrible tragedy when something like this happens, and fortunately, hopefully, it will be rebuilt. It will be rebuilt.
Definitely.
But I'm worried about something else, Nasser.
Well, one thing did you know something too, that the bells of Notre Dame, they actually sounded on September of 12th of 2001, recognizing and basically paying like a homage to the people who perished in the 9/11 attacks.
Well, I'm sure over the 850 years that Notre Dame has been there, I'm sure that those bells have rang out to announce a lot of tragedies and triumphs. But I am worried about something else, Nasser.
What is that, Rick?
When I agree with liberals.
Uh-oh.
All right?
Uh-oh.
It's dangerous. It's shaking me up here. I almost don't know how to take this. And I'll tell you why. Cher said on Sunday in a tweet, quote, "I understand helping struggling immigrants, but my city, Los Angeles, isn't taking care of its own. What about the 50,000 citizens who live on the streets? People who live below the poverty line. If my state can't take care of its own, many are vets, how can it take care of more?" I agree with Cher. And I'm doubly worried because I also agree with Cory Booker. He said on Face the Nation that releasing illegal immigrants into sanctuary cities will, quote, "make us less safe." Nasser, what is happening here?
I love it when we can utilize the left, okay, with their own words. But listen, there's something else that's happening. Guess what? All of a sudden, the left finds out that when they make statements like this and they come on the right side, which is our side, they get hit by their own people. And I bet you Cher is playing her own song right now, "If I Could Turn Back Time." You know why? Because she put out a tweet and she says she seemed bewildered by all the blowback that she's getting from all the people on the Hollywood hypocritical left, because she put out another tweet saying, "Worked. Tried to explain myself. Cried about Notre Dame. Worked. Felt misunderstood. Worked. Worked how people could condemn me after all I've said and done in my life. Worked. Compartmentalized my emotions. Took care of those in my care. Remembered pain. Will wait for you. Choose joy now. Cry later." These people are unbelievably idiotic, moronic, and acidic. This is unbelievable. But this is what happens when people turn on themselves. I mean, the people that you sort of have been supporting now all of a sudden are turning on you because you made a rational statement.
That's the mistake they made. They made common sense.
Absolutely.
And then Cory Booker saying, "make us less safe."
Right.
No kidding, Cory.
No kidding.
And this is what we've been telling you. This is what we've been telling you and all the people on the left. How murderers, rapists, burglars, robbers are coming up with these people coming over our southern border. Gee, Cory Booker, I'm glad you finally woke up.
Well, remember when Nancy Pelosi said that for every $1 that illegal aliens remit back to their countries, it puts $2 back in the pocket of Americans? So I was wondering, well, if that's the case, why don't we get over here?
I don't know.
If you're making $1,
she tried to use the same argument with food stamps.
Absolutely.
She tried to make. She's just. She's recycling. Liberals love the idea of recycling. She's just recycling her bad ideas. Hey, Nasser, we do need to take a break. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, and that is Nasser Sheikh, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Oh, I'm Rick Trader. I'll add myself into that. Hey, we've got three great guests joining us today. On the other side, we'll tell you who they are and our topics for a conversation. We'll be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh. And Nasser, we've got three great guests joining us today. Who are they and what will we be discussing?
Our first guest is David Rubin, former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, author of the book Trump and the Jews. And he's going to be talking to us about Ilhan Omar and her comments that she had made. Second guest is Elaine Parker. She's the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. And she's actually going to be talking to us about her article about the numbers are proving that the economy, the Trump economy, is absolutely humming along on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. And finally, Tim Bryce, who's been a recurring guest of our show, his blog, which is The Bryce is Right. And he's going to be talking about Trump's tax returns. They've resurfaced again, and the left is asking for them in terms of it wasn't part one, but now it's part due. We've got three great guests once again, Rick.
All right. Well, Nasser, the upcoming is the release of at least the redacted version of the Mueller report. And of course, because there are sections that are going to be blacked out or redacted, I'm sure the left is going to continue to have their undies in a bunch over this.
You know, you're right. Again, do we hear Mueller? 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 Where art thou, Mueller? Whatever. But now this is the Attorney General putting out the version. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be the redacted version, and that's what they're going to focus about because there's nothing in there. I mean, the amazing part about this entire thing is that they just like they tried to tell us that Trump somehow is a Putin spy and a Russian spy somehow, and they're actually trying to make that leap to the American people, to those what I call non-informed voters. I mean, they're actually trying to say that for 2 years you had Robert Mueller along with 16 to 20 other attorneys who not a one of them liked President Trump. They were all haters. They were all people that were on Clinton's payroll, or they were on part of the Clinton Global Initiative Fund, or they were working for the Clintons. So all these people are there, and they're actually trying to make the assumption, they're actually trying to make the perception out there that somehow the Attorney General, the top cop in America, is actually going to commit perjury and lie and cover up a 400-page document, and that no one's going to say, hey, guess what? You're lying about it. I mean, Rick, the left, it is just amazing how these guys continue to try to peddle in this crapola that's out there. But you know what? They keep doing it, and when this is going to come out, it's going to sustain them for another cycle, and then who knows what the next bombshell is going to drop, and they're just going to continue to do this. They are never, ever, ever, ever going to basically say, sorry, folks, we were wrong. You're never going to hear from them.
Well, Nasser, I think it's a double-edged sword for them because as long as they're talking about Russian collusion, as long as they're talking about the Mueller report, as long as they're talking about Trump's tax return, I think the American people are going to turn them off. As we're going to discuss with one of our guests today, Elaine Parker, the economy is going great guns. As long as they're talking about these other things, they're not discussing issues.
That's right.
They're not discussing what America wants to know, that I believe. And these, I think for a large part, the American people have heard this stuff ad nauseum.
Yes, they have.
For 2.5 years now, and they're really tuning the Democrats out because that's all they talk about. Russian collusion, the Mueller investigation, the Mueller report, Trump's tax return. Where's your vision for America? Nasser, they really don't have one.
They really don't. And Rick, it's amazing. Even friends of mine here that I would consider to be, we talk about the low information voter. Mm-hmm. Rick, I've got friends. These are educated, professional people. And when the Mueller report came out, and we were like at a dinner party, and we were talking about this, they really, I mean, this was not a lie on their, they weren't lying to me. They really felt like, what happened? I mean, they really thought that indictments were going to come down, that Don Jr. was going to be indicted. And they were just absolutely amazed and just, bewildered and befuddled. They couldn't believe that for 2.5 years something like this happened and nothing occurred. Oh, what is that?
Talking about nothing occurring. Wait a minute. Hold on, Nasser. He put it on pause. I have to start the... All right, we're rolling again.
Okay. So anyways, that's what happens when you're live.
You have little furry visitors.
Right, that's right. Oh, God. But anyways, this is what, they were just, people were just, and you know what? The ratings, they said the next day, Rachel Maddow's viewership, they said, dropped by 50%. CNN, they said, lost 57% of the audience the next day. So they had people there that were just riveted for 2.5 years.
Like, Nasser, you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember when was it back in the 70s or 80s? They brought up that I guess had to be in the 90s maybe. They brought up this safe from the Titanic. And it was supposed to be all this money and jewels and gold in the safe. And when they opened it, there was nothing in it.
Oh, same thing. Remember Geraldo Rivera with Al Capone's vault?
There was nothing in it.
Nothing in it.
There was nothing in it. So it was like, okay, all this excitement, anticipation for what? For what? Hey,
But you know
Nasser,
what? But you know what, Rick? Real quick,
Yeah.
these people every single night, they think they're going to be the next, Woodward and Bernstein. I mean, that's really
Yes.
what they're thinking about. They're thinking, I'm going to be the person that's going to be iconically put up there as the liberal, the leftist that brought down a duly elected president.
Yeah. Well, anyway, not going to happen.
Not
at
gonna
least not to
happen.
this president. And we need to take a break. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have David Rubin. He's the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and he's also the author of the book Trump and the Jews. We're going to be talking about the Democrat candidates, 9/11, and Ilhan Omar, and it's Trump's fault. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our first guest.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, and that is Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And Dr. Sheikh, we do have our next guest with us. He's a longtime friend of the program. Please make him feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have David Rubin, who is a former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and the author of a new book, Trump and the Jews. David is the founder and president of Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, which he established after he and then his 3-year-old son were wounded in a terror attack. He can be found at his website, www.davidrubinisrael.com. David, welcome once again back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thank you. Good to be with both of you.
Well, before we begin about the article that you wrote about Democratic candidates, 9/11, and obviously Congressman or Congressperson Ilhan Omar, give us an idea, what is the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund and why did you establish it?
Well, the Shiloh Israel Children's Fund was established after my 3-year-old son and I were wounded in a terrorist attack. And it was actually just 3 months after 9/11. and we were ambushed on the road. We were driving back from Jerusalem, and the car was ambushed by Islamic terrorists who were perched on the side of the road with AK-47 assault rifles, Palestinian authority terrorists, basically, from the Fatah terrorist organization. And I was shot in the leg immediately. My son was shot in the head. A bullet went into his head and through his neck, missing his brainstem by 1 millimeter.
Oh my.
So as a result of, without getting into all the details, all the gory details of the story, which is also quite miraculous because we did come out of it alive, both of us, and alive and well, I might add. And as a result of that whole trauma that my son went through as a young child, I established the Shiloh, or Shiloh we call it, Israel Children's Fund, to basically to heal the trauma of the terror victim children through therapeutic and educational programs.
Well, that's, out of tragedy, like you said, at least, you both survived. And that's something great to establish there to help. Like you said, I mean, there's so much unfortunate, evil that goes around the world. And, we need to have a strong, partner as Israel is, to us here in America. So, we thank you for that. David, one of the questions I've always wondered, and I try to let people know, first of all, a perspective that why is it that I think Dennis Prager talks about this as well, and it's something that most of the Jewish people, why do they, for example, at least on the American side, why do they sort of tend to be more liberal? Is that true, or is that, I know Dennis thinks it is. Why is it that they seem to be that way, or they vote that way, full well knowing that it's sort of sometimes when you think about where Black Americans are constantly voting for the Democratic side. So why is it that, most of the Jewish people, why are they always voting, towards the left or towards liberalism? Can you explain that, or is there a different story to it?
No, it's a very reasonable question. In fact, in my book, Trump and the Jews, I have 2 chapters that deal with that very question. I just got asked that question so many times over the years in all of my speaking tours and in churches and in places where Christians who tend to be conservative were very disturbed. And we have Orthodox Jews who are maybe 10% of the American population, which means basically the ones who are religious, and they tend to vote Republican. But the overwhelming majority are very liberal. It's absolutely true. It's a fact, and all of the research that I explored in my book Trump and the Jews, that's what I found. And the more connected to their roots, the more they will lean towards the GOP. The trend and the pattern is very clear. And the problem is, Jews came to America in the early part of the 20th century. They worked very hard. They came in poverty. There was a lot of discrimination against them. Their response, and their correct response to that poverty and discrimination, wasn't days of rage. Their response was, let's work hard. And they worked hard. They focused on education, and they advanced. To the extent that the Jews in America tend to be the most successful religious group of all the religious groups in America in terms of successful professionally and financially. However, in the process of trying to fit in, trying to advance, they left their Judaic heritage behind. And that's very sad. But when you have a vacuum, something always comes in to take its place. In this case, the religion of liberalism took its place. And Jews like Chuck Schumer, Dianne Feinstein, and Gerald Nadler, and all the rest who are ensconced in the Democratic Party, they haven't the slightest idea what Judaism says about particular issues, because their positions are based on liberalism, not Judaism.
All right, okay. And another thing I'd like to ask also, David, is in the years that you've been in sort of like, let's say, this political realm, where do you sort of see anti-Semitism in today's date? I mean, are you seeing a full-fledged rise on it, especially maybe in the last few years? Or there's some years that you felt it was there and then it sort of, wasn't as prevalent and it has its ups and downs? Or do you just see it continually a straight line, just going that it's increasing and increasing?
Well, for many decades in America, the anti-Semitism was mainly from the far right. It was from these small neo-Nazi groups. What has happened recently, and it's very disturbing, because you hear all of the criticism of President Trump and of the right wing, and calling them all kinds of names, and even ascribing anti-Semitism to President Trump, which is absolutely absurd.
Right.
Ask any Israeli; they'll tell you he's the greatest friend of the Jewish people in many, many years, as far as presidents go. But the fact is that I must say, the disturbing fact is that most of the anti-Semitism today comes from the far left.
No, you're absolutely correct. And one of the things I want to ask is that here we have Congressman Ilhan Omar, and I tell people all the time that I don't like hyphenation. Somebody asks me who I am, the first thing I tell them, I'm an American. After that, you want to know anything else? Yes, I'm a second-generation Muslim. And I tell people this. I've tweeted about this when I talk about Congressman Ilhan Omar, when I talk about Rashida Tlaib, when I talk about Congressman Keith Ellison, and any of the other people. They are not Muslims. I tell it to their face. I'd scream it at the top of my lungs on the top of a building. They are what I call Islamists. They are Islamists. They are absolutely radical, fanatical, jihadists, and unfortunately, they have been put into a place of power within the government confines of the United States of America in the House of Representatives. And now for Ilhan Omar to go before CARE, could you imagine if any Republican, any conservative would have gone in front of a David Duke or a Robert Spencer organization and given any type of speech? But you're absolutely right. This is what I call state-sponsored. State-sponsored anti-Semitism is coming from Ilhan Omar. I know I've gone on my diatribe. I leave it to you to say, what is your thinking about this?
Well, I don't disagree with the word that you said, Nasser, and it's a reality. And CARE, the group that she spoke to in California, that Ilhan Omar spoke to, is an organization that is committed to jihadist Islam. In fact, their chairman, speaking off the cuff several years back, he referred to Islam as being the ultimate victor in the United States, that he sees jihadist Islam as being the future, that all Americans have to succumb to it. And so we're not talking a human rights organization. We're actually talking just the opposite of a human rights organization. It's an organization that supports the Islamic terrorist organizations. They're not looking to live peacefully as Americans and live their lives peacefully and in camaraderie and friendship with all other ethnic groups. And that's the issue here. So the Ilhan Omars and the Rashida Tlaibs and the people like that, I'm sure that they disturb you very greatly. And,
they do.
And the problem, as I see it, is not that they exist and that they say the things that they say, because I don't expect different from someone who believes in jihad. But I do expect different from the moderates in the Democratic Party, the shrinking group of moderates in the Democratic Party that still claim to be the leadership, but are silent when the anti-Semitic statements are made, and now we have the presidential candidates who are considered to be quite respectful or respected, like Beto O'Rourke and Bernie Sanders, who's leading the pack, and who refer to Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister who was just duly elected in very free and fair elections, calling him a racist. There's an old expression, I don't remember who said it, but name calling is the last refuge of non-thinkers. And
yes.
And I admit that President Trump did a lot of name calling during the debates, but the bottom line is that since he was elected, most of the name calling is coming in the other direction. It's against him, and it's totally unjustified. And so now they're doing the same thing to Benjamin Netanyahu because he was freely elected in Israel.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is David Rubin. He's the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and the author of the new book, Trump and the Jews. David, we have to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Absolutely.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We will be right back right after this break.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
Saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time. It's too brutal.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. You'll be able to find rebroadcast of our radio show, our TV show, a lot of great articles, and a lot of great information. Our guest this segment is David Rubin. He's the former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, and the author of the new book, Trump and the Jews. David, thank you for holding through that break. I really do appreciate your time. Well, David, you earlier in our conversation, you were saying that Donald Trump is a friend to the Jews. We, on the right at least, we do believe that Benjamin Netanyahu is a great friend of the United States. As you mentioned in the first part of the interview, Israel just went through its election. Bibi Netanyahu was reelected. Could you talk about that reelection and what you believe it will mean for Israeli-U.S. relationships moving forward?
Israel is a parliamentary democracy. So when people vote here, they're voting for direction. They're either going to vote for a conservative direction, or they're going to vote for the left, for a more liberal approach. And that's what we saw very much in this election. And we've seen it in several elections now, that the public clearly is moving more to the right, more towards a conservative view in life, and it's not just being strong on foreign policy, and it's not just not compromising over our little tiny country and not being willing to give it away to terrorists. Mm-hmm. It's not just those issues, even though those are very, very important issues, but it's also social issues. The country is moving in the direction of traditional marriage and families, which I know you can't talk about too much in the United States these days.
Well, we can talk about it here on Conservative Commandos, so don't worry about that. We're very comfortable talking about traditional values.
Yeah, and that's the direction that Israel is going in, and that's the direction that they voted in this particular election. Mm-hmm. So it was a clear mandate for Netanyahu to provide that direction.
Why is Netanyahu's victory, do you feel, such a harsh reaction for the Democrat Party here in the United States?
Well, look, the reality is that Netanyahu is conservative, and his coalition is even more conservative than he is, mm-hmm. and that disturbs people on the left. So everyone knows that he has a very good relationship with President Trump, and so if President Trump is the most evil person in America, as perceived by certain Democrats. So they're going to have to say the same thing about Netanyahu if they want to be consistent. I think that's why you have, presidential candidates, calling him racist, and the latest is Ocasio-Cortez from her vast experience, how she's done a real study of this, and she says that Netanyahu his election is proof of the spread of authoritarianism through the world. Authoritarians usually are not elected, and they're not elected in free and fair elections, and they don't have vast governing coalitions of several parties. Netanyahu does, and he was given a resounding victory, and I think that AOC just has to kind of accept that, and who knows, maybe that'll lead her to accept President Trump's election.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't criticize her experience if I were you. I bet she could make a mean margarita. But she's now cutting off aid or limiting aid to the Jewish state. I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me. I'm sure that she and her cohorts, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib would agree that they have to cut back aid on for Israel and for all American allies. Mm-hmm. Anyone who doesn't believe in their far left agenda, so they would love to cut off aid to those countries.
David, a couple of years back, I remember you and I having a conversation about election interference. And it had nothing to do with Donald Trump. It had nothing to do with the Russians. But it had a lot to do with Barack Obama sending people and money to Israel to try to defeat Benjamin Netanyahu in the last election. Did you see any of that interference this time around? No, actually I didn't. That was back in 2015. Right.
And they were funneling funds from the State Department to a couple of organizations that were active in Israel with an anyone but Netanyahu campaign. Mm-hmm. And it all came out afterwards, and there was actually a hearing in congressional committee to discuss those charges. So it could be that they realized that they went a little bit too far. But right now the State Department has changed a bit. It's not the State Department of Bill Clinton, of Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. This is the State Department of Donald Trump, and they've thrown out the anti-Israel people from the State Department, thank God, and I'm thankful for that. America and Israel have ties that go way back.
Okay, I would say to the beginning
right.
of the formation
of the George Washington,
right.
John Quincy Adams, Abraham Lincoln, Harry Truman, and other presidents who were very positive about strengthening America's relations with Israel. Now, I know I mentioned some presidents who were alive and active before the state of Israel was reestablished, but they were connected with biblical Israel. Mm-hmm. These presidents understood the importance of those ties, that it's a connection of values. And today we have a similar situation where President Trump has taken the Obama approach of cozying up to terrorists and cozying up to Iran, which is trying to take over the Middle East mm-hmm. and the world. And President Trump is doing a 180-degree turn and doing a very good job of it.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is David Rubin. He's a former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. He's also the author of the book, Trump and the Jews. David, I know it's late there in Israel. I hope you have time for one more question for me. When the people of Israel hear what is coming from Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Cortez, what is their reaction? What is the reaction in Israel when they hear American congresswomen or men saying the things that they say about their Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu, and the fact that they want to cut off to aid to Israel. And they seem to be the radical faction of Islam. What is Israel talking about these people? What are they saying about these people?
Well, we've seen what has happened in Europe, where the spread of radical jihadist Islam has almost destroyed Western Europe. It's a terrible plague in Western Europe, and we've seen the rise of anti-Semitism. And terrorist attacks on in all kinds of people, and so there are attempts to silence anyone who speaks out against it, and that includes Muslims who have the courage to speak out against that radical jihadist Islam. Israelis understand it because we live in a very bad neighborhood, called the Middle East, where there are a lot of people who want to kill us.
Tough part of town.
That's right. Hey,
but you've got a great piece of real estate there.
Right. Well, there is some very nice real estate.
No, there is.
But the people who are around us, the people who are surrounded by Hamas and Hezbollah terrorists and the Fatah terrorists and Iran, that is ensconced now in Syria and trying to destroy us from there. So we understand it. We understand when there are people like Ilhan Omar who are apologists for that particular approach of the Islamic terrorism. Nobody's accusing her of being a terrorist herself, but she certainly supports.
Well, when she supports Hamas,
Did you hear what I just said? She certainly supports that ideology.
Right.
And the support comes from somewhere. So, and I know the terrorists that shot and wounded me and my son had support that they were getting. I know for a fact that they were getting a lot of support from other people who weren't actually committing the terrorist attacks, but they were supporting it financially. Now, I mean, we could define it however we wish.
Right.
But the fact is that she is at the very least an apologist for the Hamas terrorists.
I think she's more than that. She's raising money for CAR, which is supporting Hamas, which is a terrorist group. I'm waiting for the day, or I'm hoping for the day, that CAR itself is declared a terrorist group. Hey, David, we're coming up against a hard break. David Rubin, former mayor of Shiloh, Israel, author of the new book, Trump and the Jews. David, please tell our audience how they could get your book and to follow your work.
All right. Well, Trump and the Jews, to get the book, Trump and the Jews, all they have to do is go to Amazon.com and just type in Trump and the Jews, and they will have it in a short amount of time, I'm sure. The other way is to get more information about Trump and the Jews or any of my other books. They can go to my website, which is davidrubinisrael.com. And I might add, if people want to find out more about the work of the Shiloh, or as Americans would say, Shiloh Israel Children's Fund, all they have to do is go to that website, which is Shiloh, Shiloh, IsraelChildren.org.
David Rubin, thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate the time you spend with us. Take care and God bless.
It's a pleasure meeting you, sir.
Thank you, Nessa.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Sheikh and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. I want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, and seen on the AUN television network in Northern California, in places like San Jose and San Francisco. And with that, Nasser, we do have our next guest with us. Please make her feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have Elaine Parker. She's the president of Job Creators Network Foundation and the chief communications officer of Job Creators Network. She's been a frequent guest on nationally syndicated radio shows such as Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher. Her op-eds have appeared in hundreds of newspapers, some of Washington Examiner, Real Clear Policy, and various other national publications. Prior to joining JCN, Elaine was a public relations manager at Chrysler, also independent communications consultant, developing media strategies and tactics in corporate litigation and other communications as well. She also did work for high-profile clients, which we've utilized, or at least I've utilized quite often, 5 Hour Energy. So, anyways, Elaine, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, great. Well, we're going to be speaking to you about an article that you wrote about the numbers prove that this economy is not letting up, even though we're being told constantly by the mainstream media and the alt-left media that it's about to crash, it's about to crash. But before we begin, give our viewers, both that are listening and watching, what is the Job Creators Network Foundation, and how is it that it's sort of something that you pursued and got involved with?
So the Job Creators Network is a national small business advocacy organization, and we were founded by Home Depot co-founder Bernie Marcus. And now you're thinking to yourself, Home Depot,
right?
Huge corporation. Well, back in 1979, when Bernie founded Home Depot, he started with 2 stores. He was actually a small business.
But this wasn't Bernie Sanders, right?
This is our Bernie. Markets, not the We're very careful not to mix them up.
Right.
But it's hard to imagine Home Depot as a small business, but he had the same struggles with figuring out how to make payroll and how to pay his vendors and how to sell a better product and beat his competitors. All the same things that small business owners go through now. But he also took time to talk to his employees about how government policies impacted not only the business, but their jobs. And so he created the Job Creators Network as an education tool for small business owners who join the job creators to educate their employees about how public policies impact their jobs so we can create a better educated electorate.
Wow, fantastic. Now, you write basically that last Friday marked the monthly ritual of Jobs Day. So give us an idea of the perspective coming from you and your organization. What is the outlook for jobs, job creation, what's out there in the marketplace? Is it sort of the black cloud hanging out there like we've been toying, or is it, that's past and we're looking at areas of sunshine coming through?
Well, the black clouds that you're talking about is the perception that the liberal news media continues to try to paint on the economy. And the reality is very different from the perception that they're trying to paint out there. We continue to see job numbers. For March, it was 196,000 jobs were created. Yesterday marked April 15th. And for those of you who pay taxes, most of us, all of us, it's finally passed us. But it was the first season that we actually had the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act for 2018 to see how the economy did under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And we continue to see record unemployment. We've got 50-year unemployment. We have record lows for Blacks, Hispanics, women. Every demographic group out there is experiencing record unemployment lows. Over 5 million, almost 6 million jobs have been created since the election of 2016. And there are now more jobs available than people to fill them. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I heard it was like 7.1 million jobs are out there. And the majority that I heard, I believe someone was saying that you don't need a 4-year college degree for these jobs. Is that correct?
Some of them you don't. The reality is we're seeing wage increase faster than they have in a decade. And when you dig deep and you look at where those increases are happening, they're happening in non-supervisory positions. Blue-collar jobs are actually increasing at a faster rate than white-collar jobs. And that's the demand for labor. And we're seeing companies, just through the forces of the free market, increase their starting wages. 2 years ago, we saw companies like Walmart do it. A few weeks ago, we saw Bank of America increase their starting wage for bank tellers to $20 an hour. Those are not degree positions in many cases.
Now, you also write in here, I think you mentioned too about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Are the numbers there right now sort of to see how that sort of has sparked this growth spurge and, job creation? Or do we sort of still have to wait to figure this out? Because, you're hearing that this did not help the individual person, that these were the cuts that were given to the huge corporations. But from what I heard, a lot of those corporations use these tax cuts to give those $1,500 and $2,000 bonus. I have a friend of mine, and a brother-in-law, I might add, who did get a $1,500 bonus, plus he got a $300 gift card. So a total of $1,800 back. And he does not like Trump at all. So I asked him, I said, did you give the money back or did you keep it? He is silent, so I know what he's talking about. But give us an idea. How has that really helped to create and spur this job growth?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, the bonuses, about 6 million people got bonuses right away. We heard news story after news story early in
crumbs, right? These crumbs?
Yeah, it was called crumbs by our good friend Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
But 6 million people got wage increases and bonuses as a result of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and many of that were from big corporations. As the year went on, though, we started to see small businesses get a better understanding of how this tax bill was going to impact them. And there are 2 major provisions in there that was helping small business. And remember, small business drives 2/3 of all new job growth. So they have a very important role in this. And the 2 provisions that help small business was a 20% deduction on their business earnings and also immediate expensing. So they're able to shield about 1/5 of their earnings through the deduction. Then they've been able to take those earnings, reinvest them in their business. And the second provision is they're able to immediately expense any capital investments. So for instance, we have a small business owner who's a member of Job Creators Network in Northern Illinois. She's a small manufacturer. She was able to take her savings and invest it into a $500,000 piece of new machinery. She had to hire new people to run that machinery. She gave wage increases to her employees. And this is the best part to me, is that she was able to also pay 100% of her employees' health insurance. Wow. In today's terms, that's a big deal.
That is.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Elaine Parker. She is the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. Elaine, we have to take a quick break. Could you hold on for us just for a few moments for us, please? And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. As I mentioned, our guest this segment is Elaine Parker with the Job Creators Network Foundation. We're talking about the numbers prove this economy is not letting up. Don't go away. We will be back with more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. And just as a reminder, please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And for rebroadcasts of our shows, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Our guest this segment is Elaine Parker. She is the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation and the chief communication officer of the Job Creators Network. Elaine, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, Elaine, you wanted to make me cry. You and Nasser were talking about April 15th. Not only is it tax day, it is the day each and every year that my car insurance comes due. So it's not a great day here in this household. But it is a great day in America. In fact, earlier today I was watching Fox and I was watching Bloomberg, and they were talking about the Dow has hit a record high for the year. And we've been told for quite some time, this is a bubble, it's going to burst, you know, watch where you invest your money. But this Trump economy just keeps on going. So I don't know if you're that in tune to the stock market, but do you have any idea why the market is continuing to move forward?
Well, I mean, you continue to see the job market strong. You know, companies are announcing earnings. Obviously, some of the companies have strong earnings to announce. But, you know, where our heart is and where our focus is on the small business piece of it, and that's because that's where most of the new jobs are being created. In this economy, though, we're seeing, which is even better, is new business startups are growing at a faster rate than they were under the previous administration. They're up 16%. And for a long time, we had more business closures than startups. So that's a very nice reversal that we're seeing. But in regards to tax day and sort of the misconceptions out there about the bubble bursting and, the dark clouds are coming, that is a narrative that's being pushed by the media and the opponents that were against the tax cuts. And that's unfortunate because, you know, they say sometimes perception is reality. The reality is that 80% of Americans got tax cuts yesterday. And they started receiving, the average family of four received a tax cut of $3,000. Under the tax bill, they doubled the standard deduction. For married couples, it went from $12,000 a year to $24,000 a year. And what that means for people who aren't, as well versed in taxes, is that the first $24,000 of the money that you earn is tax-free. And so it went from 12 to 24 before you ever start paying taxes. And they doubled the child tax credit. So we used to get a child tax credit of $1,000. It's now $2,000. And what a credit means versus a deduction is a direct subtraction off of your total tax bill. It's way better than just a deduction. And so for a family of four with two kids, that's why we're seeing the tax savings that we're seeing. Unfortunately, the news media and the folks who are against the tax bill have been putting out a message out there that it has been a tax increase. And so we've spent the better part of the last year focused on educating people about how tax cuts are working and how they're impacting people. And we actually have a website called taxcutswork.com that your listeners and viewers can go to, and they can actually calculate their tax savings between 2017 and 2018, and they can actually see the dollar amount that they saved.
I was going to ask you, I wonder if that Job Creators Network has a new member by the name of Bernie Sanders. Apparently, he's had a couple of good years. Bernie Sanders is a millionaire. And by the way, Elaine, did you see his town hall last night?
I did.
I wanted to get your reflections of it, and also Bernie Sanders is saying, well, I don't like paying taxes. I'm not going to volunteer to pay any extra taxes, but I want you all to pay extra taxes out there. Also, we've got Beto O'Rourke out there who's saying, well, I don't know that America is ever going to be great again. I don't know that it's ever been great. And just wanted to get your impression of people making comments like, yeah, we want to raise your taxes. And I don't know if America's ever going to be great again. I don't know that it's ever been great. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on Bernie Sanders being a millionaire is congratulations to him, because that's what this system allows. You can write a book, you can sell a product, and if the public wants it, then good for you. You've done well. And I hope that we can all find something to sell that makes all of us millionaires. But in this country, the opportunity to do that is here. And in a lot of countries, there's not. We all have the opportunity to achieve our own American dream. Bernie Sanders obviously wrote a great book. He was telling us all.
You think so?
He thinks so. Apparently, a lot of people think so. He's a millionaire over it.
Right.
And best of all, he benefited from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act.
Well, one thing he didn't benefit from making charitable contributions. Because in 2017, he only donated 3.2% of his income to charitable contributions and only 1% to charity in 2016. So he certainly didn't take advantage of that angle. But one other point I wanted to touch on with you is, okay, we've heard of how these tax cuts have benefited the workers out there. How has it benefited businesses?
Well, businesses have greatly benefited from the standpoint of small business, and that's that small business tax deduction we were talking about. It's a 20% tax deduction. It's the first time ever that our tax code has recognized what we call small business pass-throughs. Those are like S-corps, partnerships, sole proprietorships, where their business income passes through to their individual tax statement. And it allows them to shield some of their business earnings, 20% of their business earnings, and allows them to reinvest back into their companies. And our members are small business owners, small business, we call them Main Street small business owners. And they're reinvesting, they're hiring people, they are increasing wages. We've got a member up in Somerset, Pennsylvania, rural part of Pennsylvania.
Where Nasser comes from.
Yeah. He was able to double the size of his lab. It's a chemical company. Wow. He was able to double the size of the lab. He gave wage increases. And he was also, for the first time, after being in business for so many years, able to implement a 401k savings plan for his employees. He feels it's really important to create an anchor in the community to keep young people from leaving a rural community. And that's just such an important point. He couldn't have done it without the tax cuts. He couldn't have done it without that immediate expensing. He said that's been a game changer for him and allowed him to hire 29 new people.
Wow.
Elaine, before I let you go, one last question, if I could. Minimum wage. We hear this big cry. We got to push the minimum wage for $15 an hour. But you're already saying there's surplus jobs out there. And because of their surplus jobs, businesses have to actually increase what they're willing to pay a person per hour. I just wanted to get your reflection on minimum wages.
This is how the free market is supposed to work. The demand is high, the labor is low, and therefore the wages are increasing, and they're increasing at a faster rate than they have in a decade. I mentioned earlier that Bank of America has increased their minimum wage to $20 an hour. That's an incredible starting wage for a job that doesn't require a 4-year degree.
That's fantastic. Elaine Parker, president of the Job Creators Network Foundation. We want to thank you so much for joining us. But before you go, please tell our audience how they could follow you, what you write, learn more about the Job Creators Network and Job Creators Network Foundation.
Sure. Your listeners and your viewers can go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com, and they can join us there. They can find out all the information they want about us.
Well, Elaine Parker, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care, and God bless.
Thank you.
Take care, Elaine.
And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to have another returning guest join us, and he is Tim Bryce. He's a freelance writer, and he's the author of The Bryce is Right. We're going to be talking about tax returns, in particular, Donald Trump's tax returns, and why it's so important that we've got to get it out there. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this break.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
Elkins goes to vote for merit.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect.
How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People who die fall for the right to vote. It's it's too brutal. So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
And we're back, coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, and AM/FM 24/7. If you'd like to see a rebroadcast of today's show, either on the audio or the TV version, you can do so at www.ccrshow.com. That's www.ccrshow.com. Also, like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook. Well, our next guest is Tim Bryce. He's a freelance writer residing in Tampa Bay in Florida. He's an avid writer, speaker, discussing everything about business and management, to politics, morality, systems technology. He's even got his own blog, which is a phenomenal name. It's The Bryce is Right, read by thousands of people worldwide. He's also been published in a wide range of publications from the Washington Times, Huffington Post, and so many others. Tim, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Master, it's a pleasure to be back. Good to see you guys.
Oh, great. Well, I've got my producer on the other side, Rick Trader, as well. So this is going to be the first part of our interview. And you wrote an article about Trump's tax returns, part due.
Well, what it was, I had discussed this some time ago, and I just had brought it back because, the recent request from the Ways and Means Committee came on out asking for President Trump's last 6 years of income taxes. And I don't know why the Democrats seem to have a problem with this, but, they're not entitled to anything. And, the White House is going to push back against this, and obviously they're going to win because there is no law, no statute out there. As much as the Democrats and the press scream for it or whatever, no law exists out there requiring a candidate has to deliver his income tax statements. I'm sorry, it just does not exist. Something that started off like in the 70s or whatever, but I mean, it's a non-issue. And today, after I wrote this column, my goodness, I got into an argument with some guys out there, oh, well, what's he trying to hide? What's he trying to hide? I have no idea what he's trying to hide. What are you trying to hide? You going to reduce the taxes, or what's the problem here, So what are you afraid of? I said, I'm not afraid of anything. The law is this. And, it's just, here again is another instance of the ignorance of the left. And really, what they're trying to do is just stir the pot and just create more mayhem and what have you out there. But it's so sad. It's really sad how ignorant they are.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's one of those things where, just people take it, like you said, as gospel, basically, that there's a law out there, and you listed some of those. So why don't you let us know, give us an idea? Because I found something, like I said, this is one of the things that, Rick has talked about, and I've talked about, that as we get, great guests like you on, there doesn't come a day or a time when we've got a guest on that there's a little nugget or a piece that we sort of learn that we can ourselves utilize, put in our tool chest, so to speak. So when we're out there talking to people and try to convey and win the argument of the day without calling people names or whatever, you've listed some great, some presidents here. Some of them great, some of them not so great. But we were basically talking about where they didn't have to provide, or they provided some semblance. So just give us some names of some presidents that, gave some out and some didn't.
First, let me point out that, the data I got this from is from a website called Tax Analyst, which is a nonprofit organization. They monitor these things, and they've been doing it for years and years. Anyway, some of the things they came up with, they said for tax year 2001, both President Bush and Vice President Cheney released only partial returns. And for tax year 2000, Bush released only his Form 1040. And Cheney provided a summary of his taxes, but released no forms. Then, of course, Ronald Reagan did not report his returns for the 1980 election. Jimmy Carter also didn't report for the 1976 campaign. And Gerald Ford did not release his returns, but he did release summary stuff between 1968 and 75. Franklin Roosevelt, of course, he didn't release anything. It wasn't until years later, after he passed, that the Presidential Library gave up some stuff. Dwight Eisenhower, John Kennedy, neither of which gave out anything. And so, this is not without precedence. This is something that's been going on for quite a while. But I guess, if you bang the table long enough, people start to believe that, hey, they have a God-given right to somebody's taxes. And by the way, if you've ever gone through a financial review with the IRS or anything like that, that is your private business as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's assume Mr. Trump is correct. Let's assume that he is under audit or under investigation by the IRS. Yeah, it's nobody's business but his own. And anybody who's gone through that process, will know that, will tell you that. And that's why they'll not be able to get this from him, because if it is under investigation by the IRS, which I'm sure he can prove, what's to do? You can't touch that. If everything clears up, maybe he will do it. Maybe he won't. He doesn't have to.
You're right. And this is going to be I was reading some articles too, where not only does this apply, quote unquote, that if they allow the precedent to occur where they can force a subpoena on a sitting president to submit his taxes, what does that bode for? Well, you know what? Couldn't we then go ahead and say, hey, you subpoenaed the highest officer of the land. Why don't we go after the Speaker of the House? Why don't go after the minority or the Senate members or other government officials or whatever? This would be such an unbelievably fundamental attack on, I think, the First Amendment in terms of that. Now, there was something about in 2005, and it was funny because I think one of those campus reform videos went out there and said that this is the amount of income that Donald Trump made. And he paid, I think it was like, what, $35 million on, I can't remember the small amount of money.
Well, you'll remember that debacle with Rachel Maddow, somehow she mysteriously got their hands on the 2005 tax returns of Donald Trump. Oh. And, she was, we got it. And she started going through it, and there was nothing in there.
Nothing in other than the fact that he paid about a huge amount, almost 25% in taxes, when all these other people are out there, they haven't even hit double digits.
Right. Well, and okay, here we have Bernie Sanders yesterday come on out and that's, I'm giving you the last 10 years full of tax statements. Why were you waiting for so long on this, Bernie? I mean, you only gave us one thing before back in 2014, and so why were you dragging your heels on all of this? Oh, well, they have a right to it. Baloney. Just what are you trying to prove by this? And I'll bet you anything the press is not going through it with a fine-tooth comb. So even if Trump does release it, they're going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. They're going to say, hey, you spelled your name wrong. Oh, that's terrible. It's going to be asinine stuff.
You're right. It'll just be another circus. And just like you're saying, what's next? First it was, the Steele dossier. Then it was the fact of that there's Russian collusion. Then it was the fact that now, guess what? They've said no obstruction, no collusion. But you know what? That can't be right. 16, 17 lawyers are there along with Mueller. And Attorney General Barr is basically lying to the American public. I mean, this is just, these guys are like on a completely different planet. And, you're absolutely correct. So what do you think Thursday, the redacted version is going to come out? Nothing is going to come from that. But I believe what they're going to do is they're going to hit everybody saying the redacted versions, that's where the secret lies or whatever. Where do you think the Democrats go next?
They're never going to stop. Why would they stop? I mean, their whole thing is, number one, they don't have a platform.
Right.
Tell me really what their overall economic strategy is, other than maybe the Green New Deal, and how that's been shot down already by the Democrats themselves. Now, this is all about Trump bashing and becoming socialist. That's all it is. And I did listen to Bernie Sanders yesterday on the Fox town hall meeting and so on like that. And who buys this stuff? Are we that naive to do this? And again, he comes out and openly admits, I'm going to raise your taxes. Yeah, it's going to happen. That's how it's going to do. Why would anybody vote for this? I don't understand.
You've got a lot of people that are out there, what they call, low information voters. Just like, for example, this whole thing where they're talking about where, this is really interesting when you've got people on the left and where they tell students, guess what? College is going to be free. Well, all they're basically doing, they're robbing you to pay you back later. They're taking, your future earnings, they're giving it to you now, and then, if something, you're going to be paying that thing back. But nobody looks at it because, you're getting the freebie, right now. And just like people have said before, when Rush Limbaugh had said previously, Santa Claus, it's hard. It's hard when Santa Claus is giving you a present. You don't give it back to Santa. Right. You take it and you want it more the next time or whatever.
Well, the Democrats have always been the party of the chicken in every pot, and they just want to give everything away, I mean, that's what reparations. I wrote a column on that last week.
Oh, my goodness.
People are just, I really am offended by it because, number one, it's more than just, hey, we want money or something like that. Look, my family didn't come here till the 1920s. Oh, legally, by the way. And what about, the people in Africa who sold them into slavery? Why aren't they ponying up some money? What about the Northerners who went to bat for him, fought for him, And the Republicans, last I saw, was, the party of Lincoln. They were the abolitionists. Why should they be charged? Oh, I know. Let's charge the Democrats. Remember, because it was the Democrats who came on up with slavery. They were all the slave owners. And then we had the Jim Crow laws and so on like that. How about they pick up the tab for all of this? But I have nothing to do with it.
You're right. I mean, you got off on this reparations. Dinesh D'Souza, who I love immensely, right. He talked about this, the big lie, and he said that prior to the Civil War in 1860, not a single Republican, and he says, I didn't say a single Republican person in government. He said, I'm talking about the average Republican person in the North did not own a single slave. So this was not about, Americans. This was about the Southerners who had slaves in the Democratic Party, and I say that with a triple K, and the Northerners who didn't basically have it. But listen, we've got to, I'm coming up across a hard break over here. So Tim, would you mind holding for us over this break as we go into our break here?
Sure. Then I got to go run and see Roger Stone, who's down here to Clearwater. I'm going to go see what he's all about today.
Well, great. We're going to hold you over for a quick segment, but we're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn American Political Radio and AM/FM 24/7. We've got to take a quick break to pay for our sponsors. Rick, you want to take it away for us?
No, you take it away.
Oh, that's right. Sorry about that. We've got this thing inside here. So we've been speaking here with Tim Bryce, and we're going into our break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and our guest is Tim Bryce. Tim is a freelance writer. He also has a blog. It's entitled, and I love this, The Bryce is Right. Tim, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Pleasure to be here, Rick, as always.
And Nasser, you're chewing ice or something, and you got to stop that. And Tim, we're discussing your article, Trump's Tax Returns, Part 2. Tim, what should we care? I mean, this idea of the taxes, we got to see his taxes. Do you think this is something that is really important to the American voter?
Of course not. If he had released them a long time ago, we wouldn't even be talking about it, But, the fact that he hasn't done it for what he claims to be, the income tax audit from the IRS, that's what they're saying. They're just becoming a point. They're just saying, what are you hiding? What are you trying to hide? And so on like that. And, it's all nonsense. You and I both know that. This is just a stalling tactic, a way to stir the pot and keep the pressure on Trump. That's their whole objective.
Well, Tim, through this whole debate about we want to see his taxes, nobody out there has ever speculated what we might find in his taxes. It's another, and as you and Nasser were talking, and as I see it, it's just another witch hunt. It's just another witch hunt. It's not like, well, we speculated that he cheated the Girl Scouts or something like that. I mean, there has been nothing. No idea. It's like they're just throwing this out to the wind, hopefully that we're going to find something. But Tim, what I was going to ask you, and you've done some great research, and I appreciate that. And in your article, you talk about what presidents issued their tax returns or showed their tax returns and who didn't. Ronald Reagan didn't. Jimmy Carter didn't. Gerald Ford did not release his returns. Franklin Delano Roosevelt didn't release his returns. Have you, in your research, found anything, anywhere, where by releasing their returns, any politician has ever gotten in trouble?
No. Let me give you the
we found out about the womanizing and all kinds of things.
No. What we're going to find when we finally do get Trump's tax return? We're going to find a successful businessman. We're going to find a guy who knows how to make money, how to make things happen, and all kinds of good things. We're going to find a successful capitalist, and they don't want to see that. They don't like capitalism at all. Even though Bernie Sanders is now earning over $1 million a year over a book. Yeah, right. You buy that, I'll buy anything.
Well, I'll tell you what I would like to know. I would like to know where people in Congress are getting rich. That's what for instance, Nancy Pelosi, I'm not sure when she first got into Congress, but her net worth at that time was about $3 million. Now, Nancy Pelosi's net worth is pushing $50 million. I'd like to know where she got that filthy rich on the $174,000 a year that congressmen are paid. And I don't know how much of that is her husband's money, but that's one thing that I'd rather find out that, Tim Bryce, than somebody's tax return.
This brings up a very good point because what Trump is really facing, and this is something I want to write about, he's been fighting the establishment for so long, and it all comes down to money. And I don't care if it's Democrat, Independent, or Republican. He's fighting them all in there, as far as I'm concerned. We don't need any more rhino Republicans in there. We need a lot of Republicans to get on board. And I'm sorry, Mitt Romney does not fit into that category as far as I'm concerned, nor little Marco from down here.
Or Governor Weldon from Massachusetts.
Don't even start. Write that one on. A Punch and Judy show, yeah.
Well, Tim, the one thing that I have thought through the Russian interference mess, the Mueller investigation, the Trump tax returns, when the Democrats are talking about this nonsense, one thing they're not talking about, and you and Nasser said, they're not talking about any ideas that they have to make America better.
No, just give it away. Give everything away.
Tim, I wanted to, you mentioned that you talked about Bernie, or you watched Bernie Sanders last night, and I thought there were some very interesting things that come out of his town hall last night, and also his tax returns. That Bernie Sanders is one of the one percenters that we hear, the evil one percenters, and here Bernie Sanders is one of them. Bought a $600,000 house after he lost the presidential nomination 4 years ago. A millionaire, has made $1 million the past couple of years. America's been very good to Bernie Sanders, yet he wants to change it. He wants to raise everybody else's taxes. He don't want to pay more taxes.
Yeah, even though he didn't have a regular job like the rest of us.
Well, I don't think, has he ever had a regular job?
No.
You know?
No. What Bernie's got a problem with more than anything is, and he poo-pooed it last night, was his age. He's going to be 78. If he gets elected, that's going to be the oldest president, ever elected, if that's the case. And Joe Biden is no spring chicken either. So you've got the Democrats being led by, very, very older guys in this. Will they be able to go on? Will they be able to finish this campaign and so on? And then the other part of that is, can they attract the young people? And that's why I think they're going to be, I don't think it's going to be Bernie. Bernie is the front runner right now, as far as I can see, but I think it's going to be somebody else. It's going to be somebody younger. That has to be.
Well, we've had a Dr. Gerard Lamero on our show. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Lamero, but I'm a big believer in him, and I'll tell you why. The day of the 2016 presidential election, Dr. Lamero came on this show, the Conservative Commandos, and he accurately predicted within 5 votes the number of electoral votes that Donald Trump got. And the only place that he was wrong on New Hampshire. Okay, he got that one wrong. And come to find out, there was a lot of illegal voting in New Hampshire. A lot of people from Massachusetts voted twice, voted in New Hampshire, in Massachusetts, crossed the border, went over and voted in New Hampshire. Well, anyway, Dr. Lamero predicted that Donald Trump would get 311 electoral votes. And this is the day that everyone was saying that Hillary had this. It was in the bag. This was going to be one of the greatest landslides. Well, I bring up Dr. Lamero because he predicts the candidate is actually going to be Michelle Obama.
Oh, yeah, I heard that today also. And that sounds pretty credible when you think about it. I mean, the rest of this is just a smokescreen, and then they're going to try and slip her in the back door. Now, look, I don't care who it is. They don't have a viable candidate. And the American public is not stupid. They're tired of the divisiveness. They think they've seen the Mueller investigation for what it is, a total sham and whatever. And, the silent majority is going to come forward and say, no, we've had enough. Okay, now go away. And they're in for a bad bruising come 2020.
Well, Tim, I did want to take you to task on one thing, and that's reparations. I think that that's a legitimate claim, and that I do believe that anyone in this country who is a slave between the years 1776 and 1865 absolutely should get paid for that time. Don't you?
Well, did the government sanction it? No. There was no government order to enforce slavery, was
yes,
there?
But between the years of 1776 and 1865, anybody that was in slavery, anybody that worked for free, I think should get reparations. And I want to meet these people. I want to see them get their checks. I want to see how many actually show up. Is what
Well, I know a lot of Scots and a lot of Irish who would like it too, because of all the trouble they've gone through over the years when they came over here as prisoners.
Well, my 10th generation great-grandfather actually came to the New World in 1635 as a slave. I want to get my cut, but I wasn't around during the time of slavery, so I don't know if I'm so deserving of it. Also, okay, if we're going to pay reparations. Let's also send them a bill for the Civil War.
I don't think.
They obviously, the people that demand to be paid now, they're the ones that have benefited from the Civil War. And so I think just like Bernie Sanders and Beto O'Rourke and all the rest of them say we all must pay their fair share, I think they should, in taxes, I think they should pay anybody who claims that they're a candidate for reparations also should pay their share of the Civil War. But
I don't understand with the Democrats why they have this whole $1 trillion giveaway program out there, other than they just want to buy votes on that. What about earning your way through life? That's what the Republicans are saying. Earn your way through life. And you get a lot of satisfaction by when you do make money and you are successful and you come out with a new product, a new innovation. I mean, the work ethic, their whole thing over there is not to improve your work ethic at all. The Republicans are trying to work on that.
Yeah, they should use Bernie Sanders as an example. He worked hard. He wrote a book, and look, he's a millionaire today. It can happen in America. Hey, Bruce. I'm sorry, Tim. We've got to run,
guys.
Before we go, I want you to tell our audience how they could follow your work and check out The Bryce is Right.
Well, you can find me easily anywhere if you just do a Google search or Yahoo search on Tim Bryce, BRYCE, and my webpage is timbryce, BRYCE.com.
I love it. Bryce is Right. The Bryce is Right.
And I'll give Roger Stone your best regards out there.
I was going to say that. Please do. Please do. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Take care and God bless.
Bye-bye.
And you are watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser Sheikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Nasser and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours, free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them, Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1 and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. I'm co-hosted today by Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasser, Sheikh and Nasser. I want to thank you so much for sitting in today as my co-host. Please tell our audience how they could follow what you do when you're not here on Conservative Commandos.
Well, you can follow me on Facebook at The Nasser Sheikh Show. That's The Nasser Sheikh Show. Or at Twitter at Nasser Sheikh Show. That's at Nasser Sheikh Show. They can follow me there.
All right. And if you would, Nasser, please thank our guests. We had 3 great guests today. 3
great guests. Our first guest was David Rubin, who's a former mayor of Shiloh, Israel. He's the author of a new book, Trump and the Jews. And he was going to be basically talking about the Democratic candidates, especially Ilhan Omar, and it's Trump's fault. So that was our next guest that we spoke with was Elaine Parker. She's the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation, the chief communications officer of Job Creators Network. Elaine was talking to us about how the numbers are proving that the economy is not letting up, and that the economy is just absolutely running on all cylinders. And our final guest was Tim Bryce, who we've had many, many times before. He's a freelance writer, and he's got his blog, which is called The Bryce is Right. And he's actually talking about Trump's tax returns, part due. And actually in terms of, why presidents in the past have not actually, some of them have not given all of their, tax information to everybody. So we've got 3 great guests that we talked to, Rick. Once again, you put together a great panel, great information for everybody out there.
Well, thank you for that. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.